WGM Norm winner, and I heard it's her final Norm. Welcome, FIDE Master Ashritha Eswaran, future WGM Eswaran. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. How do you feel today?
I feel pretty good. It's been like a few days since the event ended, so I've had time to process everything. I've been chasing this last storm for years, so it feels good.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's definitely get into that. And we were supposed to have this interview before the tournament, so I'm so glad that we were able to have it after. So let's just start with how you finished. You finished with 5 out of 9, is that correct? Norm, and you said that that's your third norm. How does that make you feel to actually achieve the title?
It feels really good because it this was one of the titles I've been chasing. I think my first storm was in 2015, so it was a really long time ago. And then my second norm was in 2016, and then that was like 6 years ago. So I was like trying so long. I was so close on a number of occasions in between, like a couple of years ago, and then the pandemic hit, and I just graduated as well. So it's really nice to finally get my one of the titles that I've been wanting for a long time.
Oh wow! So just lifetime achievement on top of lifetime achievement. College or high school?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did
okay.
my undergrad at Berkeley. I was a double major in applied math and data science.
Oh wow, that's amazing! Congrats on that. Two majors while you're achieving all this stuff in chess. That's pretty incredible. So then, let's start with the tournament though. We'll go back to your education because that's very interesting. But in the tournament, um, pre-tournament, did you think you were going to achieve this?
I I didn't have any like expectations because actually before this tournament I played in the World Open, which didn't go so well.
Oh,
Um, but going into this tournament, I had like a week and a half or like 10 days to prepare for it. And so I felt more confident in my abilities, and I felt more calm, and I had time to mentally prepare for more taxing games, I think, and that really did help.
yeah.
And another thing was like most of these people I've most
Big open like the World Open to a small round robin. How do you adjust from the? I mean, maybe it's just easier, but how do you adjust from the two different types of tournaments?
For me personally, it seemed like it was easier just because in the Swiss format, you really don't know who you're playing till maybe like 10 minutes before a game.
Yeah.
Um, but in a round robin, it's so much easier, especially because the pairings are out so early. I was able to like at least like get a sense of what my opponents were playing and like slowly prepare on my own time and actually like make sure I don't forget any of my prep. Um, so in that sense, I actually like the round robin better. And it was also like better time control for me, I think, just because I tend to play quickly. So just having like without a second time control, that was also a little different.
Okay, so that's interesting. You prefer faster time control.
Yeah,
What was the
something like
World Open time control?
it was 90 plus 30 for the first 40 moves. And
Bonus time, right?
it was just 90 plus 30. There was no extra 30 minutes
Yeah.
after move 40.
Okay, yeah. So that is quite a bit. G playing like that, or is it just
I think it does help preserve some energy. The thing is, like this tournament, all of my morning rounds, they were kind of really long. They went till like 3 or so, and I had a game at 4:30. So I had like kind of back-to-back games, and but my evening rounds were nicer. I finished pretty quickly, so I was able to like relax and de-stress after. But definitely having like shorter time controls, it's also like I feel like the longer the game goes, I get more tired quickly.
yeah?
So having shorter time control helped me more.
Right, right. Okay, let's go back to the early in the tournament. I actually arrived on site for round two, just to see you sadly lose to Tatev. Did you win round one or was that a draw?
I drew against Jennifer, but I had a winning position, so that was also kind of
Oh,
frustrating. Yeah.
so you had a winning position in round one, and then you lost to Tatev Abrahami, and a very strong player, a WGM. So no shame in losing to her. But how did that make you feel, and then how did you rebound from that?
Historically, she's always been like a problematic opponent for me for whatever reason. Um,
Oh, I
but
see.
I think that game, the way I lost, especially, was kind of very not demoralizing, but it was just very sad. Because I think I didn't have any chance from the beginning, and I think I just got thrown off guard by the opening she chose, and I just wasn't feeling like comfortable the entire game. Um, but after the game was over, it was fortunately I didn't have another game to play after that on that same day. So I was able to like de-stress, go out for a walk, and then I had two whites the next day as well.
Oh,
So
oh,
I
that's
was able
nice.
to like kind of regroup myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really great. So you mentioned going for a walk. What do you do when you go for a walk like that after losing?
I usually go with my mom, just around the block. Nothing really too special about it, but just like trying to stay away from chess. And just it
Yeah.
really helps me forget about that loss and just, two rounds are over, but now it's like a brand new tournament, just of 7 rounds remaining.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And you scored 5 points, so that means you got, what is that, 4.5 out of 7 in the second,
Mhm.
in the latter half of the tournament. I mean, that's a pretty good score. So you rebounded really well. Are there any memorable moments from those games that followed?
I definitely say the day after I had two wins actually. I played against Andy and then I played against I think after my game against Andy, I felt more confident in myself.
Yeah.
That was a very chaotic game in general, but my game against Bilaus, I think I just had a really good position out of the opening, and I think it was just very unpleasant for him. And so that game, I think that was probably one of my best games in the tournament.
So for the audience, Andy's a 2486 IM elect, and Balaus is a grandmaster, right?
Mhm.
So you're playing like some of the strongest players in the field, and you're able to achieve two straight wins. Yeah, I mean Andy's very young, so did you just out prep Andy, or is there some moment in the game that pops out?
I think I did out prep him a little bit because I played something that I've never played before.
Yeah,
Um, and I think he was a little surprised. But he did play something that I anticipated.
right.
And so I think I just kind of knew the position a little better, and I had like a lasting advantage the entire game. I think at some point in the middle I did blow it. Um, but I think it was kind of like a back and forth game where I was like better and then I lost it and then he made a mistake again and then I was better again. Um, but at no point in the game, I think I lost control entirely, which
Right.
is what I was aiming for. Um, and my game against Belaus as well, I think he played something he normally doesn't play.
Oh.
So I just actually had really good preparation there as well. So I think just out of the opening, I kind of went into a slightly better ending.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he just, yeah.
So wait, that's interesting. He played something that he normally doesn't play, so you weren't prepped for it, but you were prepped for someone else, or just general prep that you've done over the years.
I think he's played it once before,
Oh,
maybe in
okay.
like February or something. So I did take a look at it before. But I just prepped something like so I knew what I was doing, and it just happened to be in that game. I was more focused on a different thing he'd play. Um, but yeah,
Wow, that's pretty amazing, though. um, and is this for the non chess player, or even for the more amateurish player? Is this a feature of these round robin norm type events where you're able to do this kind of deep prep for your opponent in a way that's not possible? We talked about it a little bit with the Swiss, but if you can expound on that a little bit more.
especially for round robins when pairings come like ahead of time, you can spend like an entire day for like one single opponent, which is nice because in a Swiss tournament you have like what 10 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max. And sometimes they can play stuff that you haven't played recently, so you need to remember a lot of things, like refresh a lot of things. But in round robins, like you have all the time in the world, kind of like you have a whole day to review some lines you've haven't played in a while. So that does make a difference, I think,
Yeah.
especially for me, because it's like if I know what I'm doing, or at least I have like, a plan out of the opening, it makes my life easier.
And do you think this improves your overall skill level? Because you're doing a lot of work then. I mean, if you're saying you're taking like a day on these players, you're putting in a lot of hours to study
Mhm.
these positions.
Yeah, I think it does help in the long run, like in terms of like understanding complex positions or even just new positions, like how to navigate those type of situations. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about 1000 GM now because I mean that sounds amazing that the way you were able to achieve this norm. And you said you're only a half point away from an IM norm, which I'm sorry that you didn't make it, but still pretty amazing that you are only a half point from it. So that means like so. Let's talk about 1000 GM though. I mean, they're the sponsors and the 501c3 behind this tournament. Um, I know that Grandmaster Kobe did a lot of good work to help out and organize everything. Um, did did they ask you to pay any money for this tournament?
No, actually, it was a free entry, and it's the first time I've seen like a norm tournament be free entry. Usually, it's like $800 for norm seekers or so. So that was really nice.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, had have you gone to a lot of other norm events?
Yeah, I've played in Charlotte quite a few times. And I've played in Europe for quite a few tournaments as well for norm tournaments. But this is the first time where the entry fee was free.
So, how much do you think you've spent overall just going to norm tournaments? I mean, can you even estimate that?
Honestly, I don't think I can. So, probably some really big number.
Is it like in the tens of thousands?
I'd expect so. Yeah, it's like including flights as well, because
Yeah,
flights are expensive these
right,
days.
right. And why would you travel to Europe to go to these events?
I guess it's the new players, like always playing new people is
Mm.
interesting because after a while it just kind of becomes kind of more like routine to play the same people here over and over again. Um,
Mhm.
and also it's a different atmosphere you get to explore and just meet really cool people as well.
Great, great. Okay, and so with this event, um, are you do you live? You don't live in St. Louis. You live on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I live in California. I'm from San Jose.
Okay, and so where did you stay? Did you stay at a hotel close to the event, or
Yeah, so I stayed at a hotel that was like a 10-minute walk from the playing venue.
and is that important for you to be close to the venue?
Yeah, that is one of the important things because I do kind of like going back and relaxing, especially like if I have like only like 30 minutes between games or things like that. Um, just to like forget about what happened if even if it was like a good result and to just focus on the next game.
Okay, and do you stay? You said you mentioned your mother earlier. Do you stay with her usually?
Yeah, she usually travels with me and my sister to tournaments. She does a lot of the behind the scene work, so that does help a lot.
Okay, let's shout out to your mom. Thank you for all the help and all the moms out there. Well, that's great. And do you like traveling with your mom and sister? Is it something kind of gives you a little bit of extra boost? I guess.
Yeah, it definitely does. My sister is also a chess player, so having that healthy competition between siblings also works. We often like play in different sections,
Uh,
but always we usually, at least in the past, we used to have like this thing where it's like who gets more points out of like however many games there is in the tournament. So
yeah.
having that kind of competition is nice.
That's great. That's great. Okay. And then you mentioned that you went to Berkeley. Did you receive any scholarships there for chess at all, or were they mostly academic?
Unfortunately, Berkeley doesn't have like an established chess team that can give you scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only like academic scholarships out there for Berkeley. I didn't go to Berkeley with any scholarship, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Oh, but in-state tuition, hopefully.
yeah.
Okay. And then one more question from 1000 GM. They're very interested in understanding. I consider this one of the hard questions. Is there systemic discrimination in chess toward financially privileged players? Meaning, do they have better access to these events? I mean, especially you mentioned traveling to Europe. So, If you can weigh in on that at all, we'd appreciate it.
I think definitely because especially like with more money, you have more access to resources and you can definitely go out more, I guess, to Europe and stuff and get more exposure. I feel like the more exposure you get, the more you get with chess as well. And the more experience means like as you grow older, um, you learn the positions as well better. Like when you play against better people.
Yeah.
Um, and it's also like especially these norm tournaments, they're so expensive. And so for someone who's really strong but like financially not available to go to these tournaments, it can really suck. So I think that there's like some factor that plays a role into it.
Yeah, and you mentioned meeting and playing new players. I actually find that interesting. It, since even if there's like a strong talent and they can't really leave their area, they're not going to play that many players.
Mm-hmm.
Um, does that impact their overall like balance in their game? You know, maybe they're like a super strong attacking player, but their positional chess is weaker. Do you think that could impact that at all?
It could, if especially if they're playing the same people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if like those people are similar playing strengths to that person as well, because sometimes different people will have different playing strengths. So
Yeah.
it'll be you can definitely learn more from new people as well.
Okay, okay. Let's move on to something about your life, though, because I'm interested to hear about, you know, just generally how you started playing and the really fun stuff about chess that you love. So let's start from the beginning and go back to, if you can take us back to when you first started playing, when you started playing, and why.
So I first started learning chess as in like after school activity in first grade. I just kind of joined because why not? It was just an after school club. I had no idea it'd become something like this. Um, and so my first tournament was actually when I was 7 years old, the week before my birthday,
Oh
at the
wow.
mall. I feel like the only reason I remember this is because it was a Halloween tournament, so everyone was dressed up in Halloween costumes. Um, but
What did you dress up as?
I don't remember that part,
Oh
unfortunately.
darn! I would have known. Okay, that's really fun. So then, I'm assuming you won some candy or something.
I don't remember the details of the tournament, but I just have like a very vague memory of that.
Okay, and you don't remember how you finished?
No, I don't.
It must have just been just a fun event, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome. So then, who first introduced you to chess?
I'd say at home, probably my dad. But
Okay,
then once I started going to school, um, the coaches there, and I was part of, I think, the after school program, if I'm remembering correctly, was called like Success Chess or
okay,
something like that.
okay.
And I was part of that program, I think almost for 4 years. And then I started going to more tournaments. I played a lot at White Bell when I started chess. And it just kind of like grew from there.
Do you remember any of the names of your first coaches? If you do, you can
One of my
share.
very first coaches from this after school program, who then came to my house and helped me play when I was like below 1,000, was Coach Bruce.
All right,
Um,
shout out to Coach Bruce. I'm an early childhood coach, so I like to shout them out because they deserve some praise because they did a great job. I mean, you're a strong player now, so great
I
job, Coach
definitely did.
Bruce. And so
And
then
then I
you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like he was an amazing coach. Like he spent a lot of time also like it takes a lot of effort to come to someone's house regularly, like every week, and teach, especially kids.
Yeah, yeah, right. And were do you remember anything that you were working on with him? Just basic tactics or famous games?
I don't really remember much, but I think
It's all in your
um
subconscious now.
yeah.
Okay, that's fun. And then, so then, let's think about the moment you got serious about tournament play when you started, you know, really thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to beat everybody and win my sections. Um, do you remember a moment when that happened?
I think in 2011 or so, I played in the all girls nationals in Chicago.
Awesome.
Um, and I think I tied for second the first year I went in 2011. And
Oh
so that was
wow.
like that was like my really first big national event, I guess. And then the following year I did go again and I won, I think, first in under 14 or I think it was under 12. I don't remember exactly. But that tournament I played in three times and I think I won it twice and then I got second the first year. So that was a really big tournament in pushing me to keep playing chess. I think at the first year I was like around 13 or 1400.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was an all girls invitational, right?
It was just the all girls national
Oh,
championship
so
in
just a
Chicago.
national championship.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you got introduced to that event? Because I mean, that's pretty far from the West Coast to Chicago.
hmm I I don't know how I got introduced to it. I think my parents probably saw it. At that time, I think I was working with like Ted from the Bay Area as well as Dion
Um,
from Europe,
Ted, what's his last name?
Castro.
Ted Castro. Okay, shout out to Ted
Yeah.
Castro. He's worked with a
So,
lot of players. And then who else were you working with?
and Dion Bochkov.
Okay. Oh, Grandmaster. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Boshkov. Oh, he's one of my favorite players in the whole world. Boshkov is the nicest guy. I've driven him all over Los Angeles. Made lots of U-turns in my car. Well, that's great. Okay, so you were working with some strong players already at that point. If anybody doesn't know,
And
Grandmaster.
I think
Oh, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Ted was very supportive of my chess career from the very beginning, and he did like encourage me to go to all of these tournaments when I grew up.
Mhm.
So really encouraging that as well.
And do you think that that encouragement is what? So that is what pushed you to go to these national events, and then when you saw that you could actually achieve something through them,
hmm
I mean that's pretty amazing. Um, do you think back on that often, or is that just kind of now while we're talking about it?
I guess it's like it does come every so often when I do reflect on my chess journey, but
Yeah.
not every day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing though. And then I mean, this is all while you're like in junior high and just coming into high school.
hmm
Um, do you actually one moment that is always fascinating to me is was there a moment in your chess journey that you hit a plateau and you had like really a lot of trouble, getting past? Um, I mean, this might not be totally chronological, but that's fine. I'm really interested in hearing this.
no, definitely. I did hit a plateau like after I got national master in 2014. Um, I was in middle school. Like I just I was class of 2014 in middle school. So I achieved the national master in like February, I think.
Okay.
And so I was going into high school. And I think in that entire year in 2014, I think it was a little like I just reached that level and it was kind of hard to go past it.
Right.
Um, and also like in 2015 though I did have like a really good string of events in the summer when I played in the Pan American under 20 as well as the US Girls Junior Championship in 2015. So that was a really good summer, but besides of that summer, like there wasn't really I just was kind of stuck. I think at some point I dropped below 2200 as well. Um, and
That's
so
tough.
yeah, and I think actually even till when I went to college, I didn't reach 2300. I like USCF, I was still like around 2280 or something when I joined Berkeley. Um, so I was stuck in that range, I'd say for maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't know exactly what the number is, but
Wow.
yeah.
And is that because of school or what do you attribute that to?
I think part of it has to do with school. Also, part of it, I did travel a lot during when I was in school. I went to like World Youths and stuff. World Youth, I think there was a Continental Championship as well. Those were not USCF rated, or maybe they were a lot here.
Wow.
But I think school did have a role in it, like
Okay,
I had
but
to take time off of chess as well.
those events were improving your FIDE rating though, right?
Yeah, I think some of them did. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that's also important. So you were kind of it's interesting that like this like a split journey almost where
yeah.
your USCF was kind of frozen and then your FIDE was probably rising, right?
Yeah, I just kind of didn't, I wasn't really like consistent between tournaments, is what happened. I think I'd have like a really good tournament and then I'd have like two or three bad tournaments.
Right.
So the rating graph was just kind of up and down for a while.
And how does that feel? I mean, you're super focused on your academics, obviously. Um, did you really just kind of put it on the back burner, or were you getting frustrated through that process, that period?
I just kind of took it as like a learning experience and kind of just tried to move on and to learn from my past. Um, and that's probably easier said than done, but it was a struggle because balancing chess with school was is also another tough thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, but I think over the years, like playing in college definitely I think helped me improve because there's a lot of like strong people at Berkeley that are my really close friends. So like I was able to like at least stay in touch with chess during college. So that was
Okay.
nice.
Okay, that's an easy transition here then. Let's talk about your college experience because, I mean, you said you have a double major. Can you tell everybody again what the degrees are?
It was an applied math major with the concentration in statistics and then data science as my double major.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, I have one degree in biology, and that was very hard. I mean, it was basically a pre med program, but it was still. I mean, one degree was insane. How so? What I find interesting is that you say your chess starts to improve also at the same time that you're achieving these really great academic results. So how is that possible? Is what I want to know.
I think just especially like the chess club at Berkeley, they met every week.
Oh,
And there's also really strong people there, like Josiah, for example.
okay.
Um, and Josh was there as well, I think for 3 years. Uh,
Josh Sheng.
Joshua Shang.
Okay, so if you don't know, anybody doesn't know who these people are, international master steerman, at Josiah Steerman, and uh, Josh is a IM or is he
He's a
he's a
grandmaster now.
GM now? So
Yeah.
Grandmaster Joshua Shang, who's actually homegrown from Southern California as well, where I'm from. So I mean, so you have very strong players that you're playing with. Then that makes sense weekly, right? And
Mhm.
what are you doing in this club? Are you playing Blitz? Are you guys playing Rapid or what's the
We mostly play Blitz. Usually during club meetings, other people are also there, like beginners. So a lot of it is us like teaching, but after like an hour or so, we kind of just play with each other. And there are times, especially like before the pandemic, when we'd meet outside of chess meetings to just play.
right?
Um, but I think having that chess culture, it helped me keep in touch with chess, but also motivated me to like continue to play stronger.
Were you able to beat Josh Shang in Blitz?
No, never.
You never beat him? Oh, I thought you would get one off of him.
I got one off of Josiah. I've gotten
Okay, okay,
actually maybe more than one off of him, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Josh. I mean, Josh is super strong. So, I mean, I've had
I
positions.
don't think I played Josh much,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I've had positions where it's like a slight advantage or even dead equal, and he's just crushed me in the end game. Okay, so that's fun and interesting. Um, and then, I mean, all at the same time, you're studying your degrees, and we're talking like if you're telling me about applied math, we're talking like differential calculus and above, right? Like something
Yeah.
some crazy
Yeah.
math. This, I mean, if for anybody that doesn't know math, that's like super hard. um, uh, I want to put a pin in what you're going to do in the future, but one more thing I want to ask is, um, how did the pandemic affect? I mean, maybe even your little club. I think this is kind of interesting, just historically, how it affected your club, and then maybe even your chess play.
So because I'm from San Jose, which is like relatively close to Berkeley, like
Yeah.
an hour drive from Berkeley, during the pandemic, I was actually at home,
Oh, okay.
um, doing online school. And I think having that doing online school, like it opened a lot of opportunities because I definitely had more time, didn't have to like walk to class or come back or like get food on my own or anything because I had my mom at home. Um, but it definitely like I was able to save a lot of time and also like it made like practicing chess much easier.
Right.
Um, and also during my college, most of my college, I was working with Melik. And
Okay.
so he was also very flexible in working during the pandemic as well. So that did help as well.
Okay, so for those that don't know, that's Grandmaster Melikachian from Los Angeles. So, so you were working with him over like Zoom.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so you're working with him remotely. That's really interesting that you say that it basically saved you time. Did you play a lot of online events? I feel like I saw you in a chess.com event or two.
Yeah, so I did. So I played in a lot of the online collegiate events. I did play in Pan American. I was on the A team. I think I was on the B team, and then I also played in the Amateur West when it was online and Go Bears because we won it back to back. I think 2 years in a row.
Oh, let's go! Congrats, that's awesome.
And so like that was like a pretty big, that was like pretty staple event in my 4 years, going to those events and especially having amazing teammates
Yeah,
also did help. And we did kind of prepare for that as a team sometimes before the event, so that also helped. Um, and then I did play in speed chess qualifiers in June. I did play this year as well. So I played online quite a bit. I also played in like I think they had a KCF University like World Blitz and Rapid, I think.
okay.
So I played in those as well. So I played a lot for Berkeley. So that really did help my chess career.
Well, that's really amazing. Let's move on to your future because I'm very interested to hear what you're going to do with your degrees. So you've got these two degrees. Are you going to grad school?
Yes, I'll be going to grad school in the fall, right after I graduated.
Well,
So I'm
congratulations.
thank you.
That's fantastic. And what are you going to be studying?
I'm going to be doing my master's in data analytics for science at Carnegie Mellon.
Awesome. And what's the eventual goal? What do you want to work on?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm still figuring that out. I What I do know is that I kind of want to do like data analyst, like analyzing things and then making a story that has an impact on society.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what field it's going to be, whether it's going to be like healthcare, finance, or business, but something along those lines.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. And is that important to you to take the numbers and then translate them into a story?
I really like doing that. I enjoy doing that, especially in a lot of the classwork stuff I do. I really I really enjoy giving back to the community that I grew up from, and that was kind of a big thing since high school. I think I did a lot of community service as well. So, and especially like the numbers do matter. You know, they
Yeah.
seem like they're very trivial, but really they matter in the long run.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you tell anybody about a data set that you've translated in that way, the numbers uh, to the story?
Um, Yeah, so like when the pandemic happened in 2020, I think for one of the classes, we had like a final project. And so I did this project with two other friends. And so we actually looked at COVID data. And we were trying to predict when this thing would go away. And so we built like these SIR models, which are they basically use like rates, like how many people are susceptible to the COVID, how many
Yeah.
people are infected, things like that. And so we were able to get like a model, like some chart that would say like, oh, so after like 150 days, this thing will start to die down. Obviously, that didn't happen, but it it was interesting to see like how we can use things that we learn in the classroom and apply them to real world applications.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And is there crossover between chess and this type of mathematics?
I think there is. There's a lot of problem solving that goes involved because when I work with data, I always like find myself in unknown territory because there's going to be missing data. There's going to be a lot of things that I don't know, like especially if I'm working with inform if I'm working like in healthcare, for example, because I don't come from like a healthcare background.
Right.
Um, and it's kind of similar in chess too, because sometimes you don't know the opening or you don't know the position that well. And so you have to navigate through unknown territory. And I think there are some parallels between them. And I think I've been able to apply whatever I've learned in my chess journey, like problem solving and critical thinking, into my data analytics life as well.
That's absolutely incredible. I appreciate that you share that with us. So then, what's next for your chess then? I mean, you're going to be doing a rigorous program, I assume, with your graduate degree. Um, where do you see your chess going? Do you have any future goals?
So my program is just 1 year, so it's not too long. But I just at a point where I'm just like, I'll keep playing chess, see how far it goes. But I do have a goal of becoming an IM because I was so close to an IM norm this tournament, but also just because I think especially this summer and playing in like strong events like the 1000 GM tournament, it really motivated me to like keep going and see how far I can take this.
Great, great. And is that general sense of like see how far I can take it because it's not really like a you know a good career option unless you want to teach, right? Is that part of it,
Mhm.
or is it just because of your general drive and love of chess?
I just like playing chess since I was small. So I think that's probably why I just want to keep doing it. But also having like something I like doing outside of data analytics. Like if I have a job, for example, in the future, I can just come back and do another thing that I enjoy doing.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you find it important to have a well balanced life like
Definitely. Yeah.
that? All right. So I didn't tell you about this in the beginning, but I want to move on to what I call the silly questions, the rapid fire silly questions. And I've asked everyone these questions. They're all very softball questions, so don't feel nervous. And if you don't fully have an answer, it's okay to say we can skip that one. So first one is, who is your favorite superhero?
To be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Marvel shows or Marvel like movies, but I did watch Wonder Woman. So I'd probably
Okay.
say Wonder Woman.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Wonder Woman is a great choice. Okay, that's awesome. What about? Do you have any favorite chess movies or TV shows?
I did not watch Queen's Gambit.
Uh oh! Oh, the audience is gonna be mad. I'm just kidding. You were doing
But I
great. Yeah.
definitely say like Searching for Bobby Fish. I watched it a while ago, but it was a very inspiring movie.
Okay, great. And uh, do you play any sports outside of chess?
I do not. My sister and I, we have like a basketball hoop outside that we sometimes do when our family's over, but besides that, I really don't.
That's a
I'm not a
sport.
sports
That's a
person in
sport.
general.
Basketball, casual basketball. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh, I kind of skipped this one, but it goes with the movie stuff. If you could pick one actor who would play you in the movie of your life, who would it be? And remember, it could be anybody that you want. They don't have to, look like you at all. I pick Arnold Schwarzenegger every time, so that I can have a buff guy playing chess at the chessboard and then smashing the board or something for fun. So just kind of silly there.
I don't have one, but I'd say like I've because I didn't watch Queen's Gambit, I don't know who played Beth Harmon, but I'd actually be interested in playing her.
Oh, you want to play her? Okay, you want to challenge her in the movie. Oh, that's the best angle I've heard of all the answers. So you want to like a spot in the show. You want to get a part in the show. You know that they probably like pay like 10,000 a day, so not a bad gig. Okay, uh, what inspires you on a daily basis?
I think seeing a lot of my other like opponents also doing well, that inspires me as well as having like a certain goal that I haven't reached yet that keeps me going as well.
Okay, awesome. And then one more silly question: what would you like to say to your fans?
I hope I'm making you proud.
Awesome. I'm sure you are. You've got the WGM title in hand. Just needs to be certified. So that's pretty amazing. Okay, let's transition. I want to before we have about 10 minutes left. So I'd love to see one of your games before we go from the 1000 GM event in St. Louis. So go ahead and share your screen when you're ready.
Okay.
Oh,
Does it work?
no, that did not work for some reason.
I can try sharing again.
Wait, hold on. let me just. I might have to reformat it if it doesn't work. Oh darn! It didn't format correctly for some reason when we reshared. I do not know. It usually does. Let's see. Did I? Bear with me, everybody. Just one technical difficulty. We'll get this. We'll get this. Don't worry, everybody. We want the board, and we want Ashritha to see her commentate on this game. So let's see. I got the board. Now, for some reason, your camera is not showing up. So, one moment, and I'll pull the camera up. Technical difficulties. It happens occasionally. Not that often, just occasionally. I just have to add that window in so I can get your... where's the window capture? Add source. Yes. So we can get you... Okay. Thank you, everyone who is watching, for being patient here. Sometimes technology does not always work out as you planned. Okay. All right, you can start going, Ashritha. I'm still formatting tiny things, but we're ready to keep rolling.
Okay, so this was like, I think it was round 6 of the tournament, and I had a really painful loss. The game before this, I lost like a dead draw in position, literally the last move. But so going into this game, I knew like I wanted to win this. I needed to win this game because I think I needed like 2 out of 4 in my remaining games to at least get the WGM norm. And so and I played my opponent this in this game like 2 times before and lost both times. So maybe, yeah.
So who are you playing again?
I'm playing Gary Shankar.
Okay, so FM Gary Shankar, and he's very strong FM. He's not your average FM, 2378, but he also has like a ton of IM norms as well. So I think he only has to break 2400 to get his IM title. So wow, it's going to be an uphill battle. Let's see how you did it.
So I chose I played the Scotch. I just wanted some exciting position instead of those Italians or Rui Lopez. Those positions are very complicated as well, but I felt like I hadn't seen him play these type of positions a lot, and so it'd kind of be unknown territory for us both. So I just thought it would be interesting to see what would happen. Okay. And I think around here, he started to think already. So I kind of figured it was kind of, he hadn't played these type of positions a lot before.
One moment, I was formatting and I missed what opening you played. What opening was this?
It was a Scotch game.
Okay. I love the Scotch game. It's one of my favorite openings. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so around here, actually, I think I did mix up my move orders in the opening a little bit. And I don't know if that was the impact of the previous game or what it was, but I think when I checked after, I was supposed to go like G3 or something here because the move I played allowed, it seems like it's the same thing, but I think it allowed him to actually be a bit better, and I think he did play correctly initially, but here I think he could have gone bishop a6, attacking my c4 pawn. Yeah. And the problem is if I defend it, I think he can just take on c4, I believe, with the knight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the thing is, if I take this way, there's d5. And
oh, my gosh. These positions are so interesting, such non-standard positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole point was that if I take, then he takes on here, and I can never take on c4 because my queen is pinned.
You have all those pins. You have the knight pinned, the queen pinned, and
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I was talking to him after the game, and he did say bishop a6 and bishop c4 never even crossed on his mind, because I think bishop a6. The problem here with b3, there's always this annoying bishop c3, and my e1 is falling probably without. I probably do have some comp in 3 minutes to play it, and I actually wasn't so sure how to go about this situation, but I thought because of those previous lines where my e pawn was in trouble, I was just like, why not just take on d6 this time,
Right.
and get rid of it. And so this position, I figured my c pawn was gonna fall anyways, and so I was trying to think about how to like, you know, thinking he was gonna go g6, but I think the computer when I checked it after was saying that castling was best, but I figured when I looked at it, I was like, I don't think I would have played castle if I was.
Yeah, that's a computery move. It's very, very inhuman to castle into the opening H file.
Yeah. But so he played g6 here, and my point was to play a3 and to get the dark square bishop, especially after he weakened the dark squares on the king side,
Right.
and to essentially give up this pawn on c4. And so after bishop c3, I think castle was fine as well. I castled long. And so here he has a choice, to trade queens into a pawn up situation. But I think the problem here was that if he does this, if he moves the knight back, then d6 is falling and two bishops. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
So if he goes d5, the problem I think was like taking on c4
Right.
and then rook d6. And this like opposite color bishop ending is like, yeah, I'm down a pawn, but the dark squares are so weak on the king side that I definitely do have compensation here and enough to, keep playing and push for a win eventually. So I
Yeah.
was happy
Yeah.
to see this. And he didn't do this understandably, and he played bishop a6. I guess keeping more pieces as well makes sense. Um, and here I considered like queen takes e6, f e6, and also I think I like taking on c4 this version, but here I'm losing f2, and I think he probably will survive this. I think
Yeah.
also
Your light squares are weak now, and he can actually attack them.
that, yeah, that's true. And so when I was thinking of another move, I saw this queen d3 move, and the whole point is I want to go queen d4. So if he wants to go knight e5, he can't move the knight really because the d pawn is hanging.
Right.
And so if he was going to go d5, I was going to go queen d4, forcing something like f6 and then bishop h3. I'm still a pawn down here, but I really liked my chances here, especially with two bishops and a weak king.
Right.
I mean, obviously anything can still happen here, but I think this was probably the best I could get out of that opening. But fortunately for me, he played just f6, and after queen d4, he can play d5 into the same thing. But yeah, here he was already down to 11 minutes, and I still had like over an hour. And I think he just blundered with rook a8 and forgot that queen a7, there's mate on g7, and that bishop on a6 is unprotected.
No! Oh, he's in major time pressure at this point, huh?
Yeah.
How much time does he have left there? 7
Yeah, and I think
is that accurate?
he had like 11 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. But still, that's massive time pressure, and you have a full hour on the clock. So you weren't lying earlier when you say you like to play fast. Like, wow.
I do kind of like to play fast. It's kind of like a curse as well sometimes because I play too fast and blow positions. But I think in this case, like throughout the game, it might have been because I kind of knew the position just a little better that I was able to make quicker decisions as well.
Yeah. What move number is this right here?
21. That was 2021.
Man, I mean, you really put the pressure on him though. He didn't know the opening that well. I mean, for good reason. Like these Scotch positions are so non-standard. Even though Kasparov played so many of them in the '90s, it's still like there's so much to explore in them. Do you normally play the Scotch, or was this a choice just for Gary?
This was actually just a choice for this tournament, because I wanted to like because I think in the World Open I did not have good results with white, which is funny because this tournament I had like 4.5 out of 5 with the white pieces and half out of 4 with the black pieces. So it's the complete opposite. And so I wanted to do I wanted cated than the standard lines.
Right.
And so I just looked into this. It's a new thing for me as well. So I guess it's not that new because I did used to play the Scotch when I was younger, like when I was 11 or 12.
Okay.
But it was still like, at least in these positions with e5, knight d5, queen e2 is something I've never played before. So it worked out well for this tournament.
That's pretty awesome. Let's go. Let's go back side by side. That was a great game, and Gary resigned right here, by the way, because he's losing the bishop, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no hope left after losing the bishop. So, but yeah, go ahead and unshare. We'll go back side by side, and we can wrap up a little bit. Make sure I got it correct. Yeah. So that I do want to dig a little bit more into what it's like to go back to an opening that you played before, or even I mean, it must feel like it's new because you didn't really play it for 10 years, right?
Hmm.
How old are you now? Sorry, I didn't ask earlier.
I'm 21. I'll be turning
Okay.
22 later this year.
That was my assumption. So, so it's almost like a decade since you've played it. What is it like to go back to it? And
It felt nice going back to something that I played as a kid because what from what I remember, I did like playing this when I was younger. But I for some reason stopped playing. I don't know what that reason was, but it was nice to go back into somewhat familiar territory. Um, yeah, and then like playing these like sharp positions, I knew it could go both ways. So like it was a risk, but uh I was I mean I in general I'm willing to take risks like these. But I think Gary and like in general, I know he's a very solid, strong player. So I think I felt like if I could put him like in a situation that he normally doesn't feel so strong in, I thought like anything could happen there.
which is kind of the point of the Scotch with everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not it's not like a main weapon these days, at least for
Hmm.
top level. I mean,
Hmm.
have we really seen it played at the top level much?
I don't think so.
No, I mean
Yeah.
they're playing main stuff now and trying to find
Yeah.
small holes. So that is pretty fun and interesting. I appreciate your perspective. I don't want to hold you too much longer, um, but I do want to get one more comment about uh, how you feel that you've achieved the WGM title. Um, can you say one more time what it means to you and how it will impact your chess going forward?
I think mostly like I'm just relieved now that I got the title because when I won the Pan American Under 20 in 2015, I got a WGM norm there and I got the second norm like within a year as well. So I thought like, I'd get the third norm soon and then cross 2300 become WGM. All of that did not happen. And so finally to get the last requirement of an overdue goal, it feels nice that I can put this behind me now and then move on to better goals like I am. So yeah.
Yeah, you were a half point off of an IM norm. So I wish you good luck in the future in achieving them. And thank you again for joining the show. I really appreciate it. And thanks again to 1000 GM for all that they're doing to get these tournaments running and to support players like you. We really appreciate that. Any last words before we go?
Thanks for having me on this interview. And I really did enjoy like the 1000 GM tournament. It was very well run. Um, the venue was also really nice despite the hot weather.
Yes.
But I really like playing in St. Louis. I have family in St. Louis, so I've been to St. Louis many times. But it's still one of the favorite places to play.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, and one more thanks to Grandmaster Varakobian for helping organize and doing all the videos. He was a big part of that event. So